So for this is my video for building a great customer experience class. And during this class, we've talked a lot about the mindset and the attitude needed to be able to create a good customer experience for people. And one of the things that we talked about in that mindset was having an attitude of responsibility, being responsible personally for the experience the customer is having. And I decided to read a little bit more about this, and I found a speech that was given at Brigham Young University. It's called "Be 100% Responsible," and it's a speech where he basically talks about how important it is to, in business and in life, to just take 100% responsibility for things, and even if it was somebody else's fault that something bad happened, to still take it on yourself and think of how you could have prevented it. And a story he shares in it is the person giving the speech says that he owned a company that the whole business model was basically that they would give seminars and trainings to groups of people about time management, and these seminars would always include like these booklets and planners and things that they would give out to all the people at the seminar to use for the training. And it was really important that they had the exact right materials they needed in the right amount and things. And he said that there were these two employees that worked in a distribution center, and they would mess up orders sometimes, and they would always blame somebody else. They would say like, "Oh, it was this other place's fault in the distribution chain. Like they didn't label this correctly. They screwed up their order," and so it was always kind of somebody else's fault. And one day, there was a really really big client that was like a $1 million account that was doing a seminar, and the materials they needed were very, very badly missed. Like there were tons of things they didn't need, and they were really upset, and they were wanting to like sever business with this company, and this was like $1 million account, and so it was a big deal. And so the owner of the company, the guy who's giving the speech, says that he talked to these two employees, and he said he didn't want to lay them off, like he didn't want to fire them. And so what he decided to do was he decided to say, you'll get a bonus. He basically said like you'll get a $1 bonus for every seminar that is shipped correctly, and at the end of the month, if all of them were correct, you'll get like another $250. So like pretty big bonuses. And he said, it doesn't matter if it wasn't your fault. It doesn't matter anything. Like if there's an error, you will not get your bonus, even if it had nothing to do with you. And so these employees began to call other people and say like, hey, like, and they would verify and they would make sure that things were correct. And they began to get their bonuses, and no more orders were missed because they were extremely proactive and were going out of their way, taking care of things that maybe weren't technically their job, but they just wanted to ensure that the customer's experience on the other end was good. So it was a good example of incentives. We talked in class about how incentives can be very powerful for leaders in a company to cause a better customer experience. These men in this story were probably more incentive driven than driven by a sincere desire to help the customer, but it was just a good example of attitude, and a good example of how leaders can influence the culture of their company, because we've talked about how culture is everything, and there's no substitute for having a culture, and there's no substitute for having leaders that know how to manipulate the culture and how to create an environment where customer experience is highly valued.